Good evening, everyone. It's Eric with His&Hers HHQ. So, it doesn't look like we've gotten too far, but honestly, really, we have. So, for our little update on the Revell 1959 Ford Galaxie, I added the floor pan, or I'm sorry, the front end here, the inner fender wells and the front of the floor pan. I have a little bit more to clean up on that, but I did notice real quick while I'm thinking about it, when you get the front seat in there, you can clearly see those two divots that represent the molds for the mufflers. I'm going to do something about that. So I've got something in my brain working right now. Now I don't know how well you can see it, but I marked off here where the front seat, or leading edge of the front seat, would ideally be. And what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to create floor mats to put in here after I get this a little more level. I think I'm going to create some floor mats to put in here to cover that up. I might fill that with styrofoam or something, and then create my floor mats. That way it'll cover that big ugly. Now I do have to look around, do some more research, because these bits of the floor pan might actually make a little sense, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to do some more research. And if not, then I'm just going to do the same thing, hit them, get some styrofoam in there or something, and then hit it with a floor mat. That way that big ugly is hidden. I also got the front seat put together. Now it looks kind of really shiny up here, and that's from applying a thin coat of the Tamiya Extra Thin. But I spent roughly 30-45 minutes doing a bit of sanding to get the seat back to actually blend the way it's supposed to. And when I was done doing that, I applied the Tamiya Extra Thin over it because it melts the plastic, and it would help would help level things out so I could see where I was, whether or not I needed more sanding. I started work on the rear axle. I got it together. I've got to clean it up now and get rid of that seam line all the way around. And I was trying to figure this out. This ugly little stick here represents the drive shaft once it's in place. And then this little bitty, no. Is it that one? Anyway, there's this little bit right here. Yeah, here it is. This little bit represents the back portion of the drive shaft. You notice it's got that wedge, so it'll fit right up in there. That's so, I don't know. Just enough to drive a person nuts, I tell you what. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, and I've got this right here. Silly me. This piece here, this cross member, if you happen to get this kit, this piece here on your front end looks like a piece of sprue. It really does. But it's not. It's actually the cross member. It's got a little receptacle there for the little peg on the bottom of the oil pan. So it was one of those things. In the last video, all of you watched me cut this thing off, sand and clean up the front end, and then get it attached. And then off camera, I was sitting there looking at this, and I dropped the engine in place to see if it would go in with this on. And the oil pan was sitting down here, and I'm going, that's not right. It's like, well, it looks like there's supposed to be a cross beam there. It's a good thing I had all the trash sprue set aside for the moment, because that's where I set it. So I realigned it and got it mounted in place. Can't even tell I goofed it up except for the little gap in between the A-frames and the cross support. But that was an oopsie. Y'all got to see it. And speaking of oopsies, the last video's got a couple of funny edits in it, and I pointed that out. So there were a couple of issues. I had a couple of incidences that I can look back on and laugh now. But my son and my daughter, my wife, everybody could not stop laughing when they saw the complete unedited video. Well, what my son decided to do is whenever I have an oopsie or something like that, he's going to save it and say at the end of the month or the month after, something like that. Whenever there's enough built up, we're going to release a blooper reel. So, you know, because I'm only human, and even though I can turn out a really good model, even I make mistakes. Such as that crossbeam. Okay, so this here is a definite labor of love. A dedication, of course, to my mother, and homage. But I have to do some picking here. Now, if you look here, there's the frame actually sits a little bit lower overall than the rest of the car. But otherwise, this whole setup here is pretty solid. I mean, it doesn't really wobble back and forth, so it's pretty level. Except for this being slightly higher than this, you'll get like a 1.5 millimeter drop if you just push on it. But if you look at the car body, which you can see I put together, it's got this god-awful corner to corner warp to it. Now, I understand this here's a convertible. So it's going to take a bit to, well, I mean, here on camera, look at that. It's just god-awful. I said I was going to try my level best to not pick on Revell. I mean, this was the 80s, you know, it's an older kid. But you would think there would be a little more attention to detail, I guess, a little more concern for quality. So if anybody from Revell watches this, I'm trying to be as honest in my review of this kit as possible while building it as an homage for my mother. Just in case anybody else comes across one of these and wants to build it. So they can see the issues I'm having, the issues they might have, something they can correct, and what I had to go through to fix things. As you can see, I had to add a small bit of styrene here to get this bit elevated enough to, once I get some more sanding done on it, it'll actually be level. I do know that this here is a portion of the door bit here, but it's kind of really difficult to tell here because I've been working on it. But this section here, let's see here, you see that bright shiny or darker section there? That corner is still slightly lower than this bit here, and what I'm trying to do is level it out. Once I have it completely leveled out, then I will carefully and slowly rescribe just a little bit so I can re-edge out the door here, or the door outline. But this, even though I had to get this piece in here, this here is level straight across, but you can still see here where this portion of the car is higher. So what we've got going on here is a little bit of sprue goo in here, and I may have to add a little bit more just to get this leveled out just that touch more. And then I'll get it sanded down and get it lined back out. As for the back, I've been doing bits of work here and there in order to get the proper alignment for all of this mess back here. I did have to use the X-Acto blade to round this out a little bit better. And I say this because there are pegs here, as there are here and here. There are, those same pegs are up here and up here. So once those are all in place, you can still see that there are massive misalignments here. And I have been slowly working with my 1500 grit sandpaper, very carefully and very slowly going over this, trying to keep the outline, the curvature, but cleaning all of this mess up. But either way you look at it, you can still see this god-awful twist to it, which if you apply just a little bit of pressure, you level it out. So what I'm hoping is that when it comes time to attach the body, you see these little clamps here and here. What I'm hoping is once we attach the body, we'll be able to level it out, you know, get it glued down in place, and it'll level out, and the frame and body tub will hold everything flat and level. So that's the hope. And the other thing is, as I'm sitting here working on this, I'm doing a lot of test fitting. Now remember, whenever you're working on a model, do as much test fitting as you can. So you know exactly what you're looking at, what you have to shave here or maybe add there. If you look at this deck lid, just to get this lined up where and how it is supposed to be, look at this monumental gap right here. I'm gonna have to get in here and actually add more styrene here in order for it to be level, to be straight across the way it's supposed to be. So I have a lot more work ahead, and basically what that's going to entail, not necessarily this. This is out of some of my scrap styrene. I've got some thinner styrene, but I'm going to use some of my scrap. And let me see here. Yeah, this is a better example. It's thin, it's really pliable. And what I'll do is I'll cut thin strips just long enough to fit from up here down to here. And I'll apply one strip, let it dry, sand, and then check fit. And then if I have to again, I'll apply one more bit. Same with right here. So this whole thing is leveled out. Now I get that with this having a twist to it, you can alter things just slightly, but sitting here just playing with it and testing my fit, I know precisely where I'm at. In this case, we still have everything over here pretty square, but everything is screwed up here. So we have a lot more work to do. I was telling a friend of mine, this car is, well, I've got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this build so far, even though it doesn't look like much. Okay, that's a lie. There's no sweat. But everything else, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of blood. I did stick myself. Which is why we say be careful, but you know, it happens. Definitely some tears, because going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm having to deal with all of these issues. And while there was no sweat, there was definitely some deep tongue of concentration. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. You got that tongue sticking out and like licking your bottom lip, really concentrating. Just totally picture that. It's a goofy look, I know it is, but there's been a whole lot of that deep tongue of concentration going on. So anyway, this is where we're at. I was hoping by this coming Sunday to have primer on something to at least feel like or present like we're getting somewhere. But here it is, Wednesday, and this here, what I'm going to have to do is a whole lot of work. And if I keep focusing here and trying to make sure all of my other alignment issues are taken care of with the deck lid, then I may not get primer on anything. And the most I might even be able to primer is just this, once the rear end is attached. Once I get it cleaned up or finish getting it cleaned up and everything, get it attached. And as you can see, these two little white bits here, that's just sprue goo that I use to fill in the gap. And then I'm going to come back with my sandpaper and get down in there so it's all flat and level. But all of this is, well, cruising along. So I haven't found my Indian turquoise yet that I was kind of hoping to use. I'm still looking to see if somebody's got it. I know there's some out there. But I did find the colonial white, and as I said before, I did find the sky blue. So if I have to go that route, it will be white over sky blue. I was just really hoping for the Indian turquoise, or the colonial white over the Indian turquoise. But I've already planned out like how I'm going to chrome these bits here. And oh yes, I also have decided, I did find a paint, that a chrome paint. It's not a metallic, but it looks more to scale chrome wise when applied. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin a little bit at a time, or a few pieces at a time, taking all the chrome pieces, and I'm going to start stripping them in the green bath. But yeah, because I don't like that toyish chrome, and by stripping the chrome that's already on the plastic, it'll be a lot easier to find the seams and stuff that, or seams, the mold lines that I need to clean up. And it'll also be easier to fix the windshield frame. But once everything is all cleaned up, then I can start getting those primed and chromed up. And then we'll get moving along. Hopefully, I find the Indian turquoise, and that's what Ford called it, 1959. So if I can find that, fantastic. If not, I'll go with the sky blue. As for these two, I do have my lacquer thinner on order. However long it takes to get here is however long it takes to get here. Once it gets here, I will show you on video. I will get these characters here together and then show you on video how you take and put a little bit of your Tamiya basic type putty, put it in a lid or little pot, kind of like this, or kind of like this, and you use you a little dropper and put some lacquer thinner in there, just a little bit to thin it out. And by doing so, you can far easier, or in a far easier way, use your toothpick and fill in seams, and then be able to take an old brush and make sure and keep all your detail. So I will show you how to do that. I mean, it's more complicated to explain, I guess, than it is to show. So we have that going on, and I will get that here in the next week or two as the build progresses. And thank you all for watching. Thank you for all the views and the kind comments that I have seen. I'm looking forward to continue producing and improving the video quality, so that you, the viewer, have a better viewing experience. We are still working on the audio. I think if we can find it, we're going to get one of those mics that kind of clip to a shirt, and that way it's right next to my face at all times. And I mean, it could be any one of a number of things, yeah, because they have to have these little stupid adapters right here, because they can't use a standard little plug for the headphones or microphone. You have to have a special adapter. Smartphones, am I right? All right. So again, I appreciate everything, and thank you for watching, and look out for more videos. I'm Eric with His&Hers HHQ. You can take a moment, head on over to Facebook and follow us at His&Hers Hobby Headquarters. And it would really help me out. It would help the scale modeling hobby out. If you like, subscribe, and share the videos. We're trying to get more and more content creators get out there and get the hobby going, or keep it alive. There's quite a few good content creators, and I will shout them out whenever I show you something that I picked up from them. So I'm Eric. Have a good night.